Hey friends, I've got an exciting video in store for you. I have brought back out my Love Letters 2021 Big Happy Planner. I haven't recorded my lettering on this in a while, but I feel like I've got a really good reason to this time. I just unboxed my September Archer and Olive subscription box, and it included brush pens. I'm super excited. They're dual-sided. One is big, one is tiny, and I am going to letter this week's words from the movie The Breakfast Club using only these markers. And I will give you all the details you need. I will review them. I bought these with my own money, so these are my opinions, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I'm gonna let you know. So hold on one second and I will get this week's page set up. All right, I'm back. Let's go ahead and dive in. Before I start lettering, I thought maybe I would do a little bit of show and tell of the pen itself and do a little bit of comparison. Some of this is for my sake, not just for yours. I want to see what it is I'm working with here. All right, so what I have here is a Tombow water-based brush pen and the large end of the Calliograph. As you can see, the Tombow nib is a bit bigger, but if you look at the overall shape and things like that, it's kind of the same idea. I bet you one issue I have with the Tombow on these bigger brush pens is that it's harder to write in small places. I bet you this one will handle that a little bit better. Okay, now let's put the cap back on. Let's flip it over to the thin side, the small side. And let's compare this to the Tombow Fudenosuke. In looking at those nibs, they look very, very similar. Kind of like the last Tombow. This one appears just maybe a tiny bit bigger, which gives me hope that maybe I can write even smaller with the Calliograph. So let's dive in and see. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to use one side of each pen and do just one example for each day of the week. If you are new to my channel or new to my Instagram, I do a monthly lettering challenge that falls along with a movie. And this month's movie is The Breakfast Club. And we're going in on September 13th, and the word for the 13th is Vernon. And Vernon is the last name of that jerk principal in the movie. So let's play with these new pens and let's do some lettering. I'm gonna start with the big side. Let's see how this feels. I've never written with these. You are watching my first attempt at it. Okay, that was kind of interesting. It is a bit bouncier than the bigger Tombow brush. It was still fairly hard to control. Let's flip this over. Okay, this is encouraging. There is maybe just the ever so slightest hint of a shadow, but the good news is these don't really bleed, and that is not the case for all of my brush pens. So that's a good thing. Let's check out the thin side of this. Okay, one thing to note that I'm not excited about is I want to be able to put the cap on top of the other, and this does not want to stay. Not a deal breaker, but you cannot put the cap on the other end of the pen. Just something to note. All right, we're gonna do Vernon again. All right, that was also very interesting, but for different reasons. So it was very easy to write with. I love it, love it, love it, love it. One thing to note is that these do not appear to be the exact same colors. I don't know if it's just that the concentration, I'm not sure exactly what's happening inside the barrel here. I don't know if the concentration is a little bit different. It's a different pen nib, obviously. So that definitely looks different. Let's see if that one bled. Not really any worse than the bigger side, the bigger brush side. The colors are very nice, very deep. They definitely pop. I would say just the biggest downside that I'm seeing is that the colors don't really match. So if you're doing this for artistic reasons, it may be a little bit misleading. If you're just doing it for lettering practice, I don't think that really matters. And the other issue is that you can't really stack the caps on each other so that you don't lose it while you're using it. But other than that, I think this is a home run. Okay, let's do some lettering for the 14th now. I am going to do this gray kind of color. I don't even know what to call it because it looks like it has a tiny bit of tan mixed in it. Okay, so sometimes the caps want to stick together, just not very well. The word for the 14th is wrestling, and if you remember, Emilio Estevez's character was a big wrestler. So that's why we picked it. So again, I'm starting with the big side. Okay, looking at the light gray color, I would say that it's an even more stark difference between the two blues. This doesn't even look like it came from the same marker, to be honest with you. This has a lot more kind of tan brown tones in it. This is more of just like maybe a straight up gray, almost with a hint of, I don't know, a tiny bit of blue or green or something like that. This does not look like the same marker. The larger nib does not pop quite as much, but that's not really a bad thing. Some brush pens really aren't meant to pop, I guess, and they may work as really good accent colors. So, okay, let's letter for the 15th. And for this one, I am going to go with sort of the medium blue that was included in the package. And for the 15th, the word or words, shall I say, is Math Club. Okay, we're done with the 15th. Again, this feels really good. I love how just the color is nice and bold. Again, they don't match. I don't know why that is, but I really love the feel and the bounce and everything with these pens. I enjoy them. Okay, for the 16th, I am going to use this sort of peachy color that came in the subscription box. And the word for the 16th is Bender. Bender, yeah, Bender, Bender, Bender. You know, Bender is our resident bad boy in the Breakfast Club. And again, I'm gonna start with the thicker end of the pen. All right, this just gets more and more interesting. So this is stark difference in the color, probably the most non-matching marker that is in this bunch so far. Yeah, I've got one more in the set, so we'll see how that goes. But I wouldn't even have thought this came from the same marker. That is yellow, that is peach. These are not the same. And, you know, depending on the sets, I wouldn't even have guessed that these should be sold together, like in the same color scheme or things like that. These are not the same. I'm just sort of in awe. I don't understand how the insides of one marker can produce two completely different results. Only thing I can think of is whatever is built in here is just not saturating the bigger brush end as much as it is the smaller brush end. All right, it's not the final day of our week of lettering, but it is the final marker in this set, and this is the lightest shade of blue that came with it. And actually, for the 17th, it is a phrase. This makes me giggle that I'm putting this on a video. The phrase for the 17th is "eat my shorts." If you remember, Bender said that to the principal, and I just couldn't resist including that in here. So starting on the big end again. Wow. So again, same issue. I don't even know if the thicker end of the marker, if the results of that are hardly even showing up through the camera. It looks like it's showing up just barely. And again, these are not, if you had not showed me this marker, I would have insisted these were not from the same marker. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. So that was the last color in the set. I am gonna go ahead and finish Saturday, Sunday, and do the lettering practice that's at the end of the page. And then I will circle back and give you my final thoughts. Okay, friends, I have filled in all of our boxes, and let's just see kind of where we stand. Let's just look at the pros and the cons here of these pens. The best pro is that the brush nibs on these work really, really well. They feel good, they have good bounce. If I were to buy them in any marker, any brand, at any store, I would want to buy a whole set of either one. They feel really good. They're very comparable to the other pens that I told you about in the beginning, and they feel good when you write with them. I did not feel any kind of discomfort in my hands at all when I was writing. Everything feels really, really good. The color selection is really great. That is a huge pro about dealing with Archer and Olive, is they come up with some pretty epic color combinations. I could use a color combination like this on just about anything. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colors. Okay, the downside. The biggest downside that I think could be a deal breaker for some people, depending on why you brush letter, is the colors just don't match. I don't understand how one marker can produce such drastic different colors. So that's the biggest downside. I hope before they start releasing this past just the subscription box that they figure this out. It is a little bit annoying. Like, I don't letter for real specific artistic reasons, but I don't get it. Like, it's a real head scratcher. Kind of more on the minor side, not really a deal breaker, is that these caps don't like to stick very well to each other. So when you've got one side open and you're trying not to lose the other cap, they don't really stick super great to each other. Again, not a deal breaker. Overall, I would say that I recommend these. I really did enjoy writing with them. I think if I were to work this into my regular brush letter lineup, I think I would stick primarily to the thinner brush nib. It is the most like the Tombow Fudenosuke pen, and that is my go-to pen, and I love anything that has that look and feel. So I do hope that maybe they kind of tweak this a little bit, and I would love to see this released in pretty much any color under the sun. I do recommend it. So I think that is about it, and stay tuned. Hopefully I'll do more unboxings and reviews and things like that. So I will talk to you all later. See ya.